Wait, no, don't, no. And see, you're going to look back on the freedoms we had now and go, no, I want that back. And it's going to be 10 times harder to get. And that's what's sad. I just see, like, you ever watch somebody bleed to death? I've seen somebody bleed to death when the ambulance was getting there from a car wreck. They die by the time they got in the ambulance. They're pretty much gone. And the blood's coming out, and people are trying to put something on it, and you see them, they're still alive. They got the fire of humanity in their eyes, and then you see them. It's not just that they're passing out. You see them, and they're like, and you see them fighting. The body knows it's in trouble, and they're like, and then the adrenaline hits. They're okay for a while, and then it's kind of, and then they're gone. They're dead already. And I'm just watching America. The blood's was gushing, shooting out. People freak out over little stuff, but but still, it wasn't that bad. And now it's just kind of like, yeah, the TSA gropes our daughters. Oh yeah, more of them got busted today, pedophiling people. That's 2 days in a row. And it's just like, well, yeah, they're pedophiles. Yeah, they clearly single out good-looking women and children. Some like to perv women, some like to perv men, others like to perv on children. And he's like, well, that's what we do to fight the terrorists. We let pot-bellied pervs grab our children's genitals. All right, I'll go back to your calls. But I think that was important to say. We'll be back. All right, let's try to get back to your phone calls. I am long-winded, but it's important information. By the way, we do have our reporters, Darrin McBreen and Marcos Morales, coming on. They went to the city outside Atlanta where the man was killed because they were basically buying up the property in an area to make it a green space for a 1021, and his little piece of property was the last piece. So they harassed him to not have chickens anymore, even though he'd been there for a long time, and it was grandfathered. It was on the edge of the town. And his house blew up, and he's dead after having his chickens killed and by somebody. And the people just want us to say we shouldn't investigate. And the police came and said, get out of the city hall. And we said, well, we're just here filming and, here to talk to people. And they said, you have to have an appointment to come in City Hall. So that's the new America. So that's coming up with our reporters on that subject here in just a moment. Real quick, finishing up with Blue in Tennessee, then I got to go to John and KJ and Sean. Well, who's been home the longest? Glenn will be after Blue. And then John. Blue, go ahead and finish your story. You said you went and tried to document some election fraud in Tennessee, and what happened to you?
Well, I actually made an appointment at the Election Commission to look at review all 92 poll tapes from the night of the election. And upon arrival, they printed out a 1,000-page document for me to review. They would not allow me to look at the poll tapes. And they tried to intimidate me, putting me in a room with 3 very large men.
Well, that's standard procedure. That's the freedom of America because again, if people knew the criminality in government, it would make their head spin. It's a big business, and they're robbing us, and they're not going to stop. And they're going to raise the property taxes, and they're going to take our property and then move into it and exempt themselves. That's a new thing they're doing. And they're not going to let us travel, and we're their slaves. I appreciate your call until we decide we don't want to be. We're back where our forebears were in 1776. John in Wyoming, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, Alex, a couple of quick items. First of all, they showed I'm in Sheridan, Wyoming, and we get cable out of Rapid City, South Dakota, as well as Casper, Wyoming. And one of the Rapid City stations showed their SWAT team and hostage rescue team conducting exercises, getting prepared for something. And then the Casper station showed the Cheyenne, Wyoming Police Department doing the same thing. So something is, I think, brewing here. Also, let's discuss briefly, if you don't mind, what you and I talked about on George Norrie's program back on the morning of March 20th, that a year ago the NRA and the American Riflemen published a notice that Homeland Security had contracted with Winchester to purchase 200 million rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson ammo.
And now they just bought 450 more million.
Now another 450 million from ATK, which is the parent company of Federal Cartridge Corporation of Minnesota and Spear CCI of Lewiston, Idaho. So 650 million rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson, which is what all the federal agencies carry, U.S. Marshals, FBI, CIA, Customs, Border Patrol, all of them. And I'm wondering, that's more than 2 rounds for every man, woman, and child in the United States. Gee, I wonder what they're planning to do with all of that ammunition.
Well, all
Now,
I can tell them
thing,
is good luck, because just because they can, tell the public to all stand out for a dead police officer, which I think is fine, and the public shows up because they're good people, the system gets much more tyrannical and starts physical fights. I would not want to be one of the minions of the system. I mean, this is the chutzpah-filled, bravado-filled New World Order that makes 40-to-1 bets at MF Global with other people's bank accounts. I mean, the bankers sit offshore, and they're incredibly arrogant, and they've bitten off more than they can chew. What do you think's going on?
Yeah, well, they're getting ready to do to do something, because the reason why I think the national media is trying to precipitate a race war here with this Trayvon Martin case is so Obama can declare martial law and then start picking up the firearms.
Oh, bingo. They're looking at doing it. All right, we are now into hour number 3. We're going to have some of our reporters coming up here in about 10 minutes or so from Roswell, Georgia, where they went to investigate the mysterious death of a man who had been harassed because they wanted his property as part of a green space zone, part of Agenda 21, over by Rob Dew's house here in Austin. FEMA made people tear down all their nice houses, turn it into a green zone that no one's allowed onto. It's just a raw exercise of power. That's what the government does. Hey, we're going to stick our hands down your child's pants. We're going to grope your wife right in front of you, and we're going to radiate you. And how do you like it? Just the bankers are like, listen, you're our cattle. Get used to it. And, the last caller was bringing up all the hundreds of thousands of weapons the government's bought and the hundreds of millions of rounds they're buying to use against the American people and all the other things they're doing. The government's buying bulletproof checkpoints that are mobile. I mean, this is a full-on armament system, like when Germany was arming before World War II or other systems. It's a huge arms buildup, trainings buildup for the American people with spies and tattletale squads and mobile prisons and checkpoints. And they're always going, it's for Al-Qaeda, it's for Al-Qaeda. And you look, it's not, it's for us. The government was taken over by foreign banks. I don't know how else I can explain it. And it's not like the police and military, they're going to be asked to carry this out, are going to be winners in it. You're going to be carrying out the wrecking of America so it can be consolidated into the North American Union. You're going to be, it's the equivalent of a cop, being on board a bass boat with you, and it's their bass boat and your bass boat. You co-own it, and the cop shoots it with a shotgun and blows a hole in the bottom, and it's sinking. And he says, I'm sinking your boat. Ha, ha, ha. And you're like, Bob, it's your boat too, man. You see that? Glenn in Maryland, thanks for holding her on the air.
Hi, Alex. First-time caller, long-time listener. How are you?
I'm all right. It's just things are getting crazy.
Yeah, it's getting really crazy. Listen, I just want to make a few quick comments. On this police parade yesterday, it wasn't only a power grab, but it also sets the precedent for it to happen in other states. If it had happened in a city like Dallas or something, I would say, ooh, it's a movie set. They're going to rob the Federal Reserve, and then say it happened during the police parade. The second issue I wanted to bring up was when this Trayvon shooting occurred, the first thing I said, they're going to use this for gun control grab and then try to turn it into race war. And sure enough, 2 days later, they tried to turn it into a race war and the gun grabs. My last point was I was doing some investigative journalism last year concerning some of the government black ops projects and how they led up to where we are today. About 9 o'clock at night, I get a phone call, and they ask for a gentleman. I said, no, nobody lives here by that name. They say, is this MK Ultra and Associates? I said, no, this is a private home. He says, well, do they have a name? And they ran off another couple of names. It wasn't until I hung up the phone that I realized what this phone call was all about. I did a star 69. The call could not be called back. And it led to my suspicions that I was onto something, and they were attempting to intimidate me by using keywords that they knew I would catch on.
No, exactly. That is exactly what feds or private contractors will do. If they don't like, you must have gotten close to something big. Stay there. I want to come back and finish up your story. I mean, I've been sitting there in front of my crew, and a number doesn't even show up. My cell phone rings. And they say things to me, or they do it to my wife. And that's the exact type of stuff they do right there. We'll be right back. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I'm here Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. Back Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m. I'll be live this Sunday. Wasn't live, of course, for Easter. And then we have Infowars Nightly News, 5 nights a week, 7 o'clock. I never really got into my full breakdown of karma-geddon, but I'm going to just succinctly, at the bottom of the hour, get into it and draw some parallels of things and why I'm upset about it, and then continue into some of the other news. We have our reporters via video Skype from in front of the home of Andrew Werdus, who had his property seized and was terrorized to death in the city of Roswell, Georgia. And the police told him, well, they've been photographed. The police have told them they're basically watching them. And they were told, get out of the city council building. You're not welcome here. And the cops added, sorry, we're just doing our jobs and what we were told. Can I rob a bank? Like have somebody tell me, hey, Alex, go rob a bank. Oh, okay. And the cops get there and go, oh, I was told to rob the bank. It's okay then. Or maybe... carry a hand grenade on an airplane. Maybe you should, I'm not saying actually try it, folks, but, my neighbor said I could carry a hand grenade on the airplane. Is that all right? I was just following orders, so it's okay. The road to hellish perdition and deviltry is paved with people following orders. And look, even though I'm Mr. Anti-New World Order, I catch myself all the time if I'm tired or got something else I want to do, that I'll just kind of put up with something. Not anymore, though. I don't care. I just cannot put up with any of it anymore. Okay, we were just talking to a gentleman, Glenn, in Maryland, and he was raising his points about the Trayvon Martin thing, saying day one, he thought it was going to be used to create racial division, racial paranoia on all different sides, so the referee of the government can divide and conquer and play the part of the savior. And then he was getting into being an investigative journalist. The caller said he was doing some investigation and got this phone call saying, yeah, is this MK Ultra? Yeah, is this? That's exactly the kind of stuff the feds or contractors do. Like, I've gotten those calls. Yeah, I was, in fact, I think I've even gotten one of those calls. Yeah, I was calling about the MK Ultra New World Order. Yeah, and of course, this is an unlisted number at the time, the times it's happened. And then, by the way, that little white dog in your backyard, that's real nice. Oh, yeah, running back and forth in front of the sliding glass door. This actually happened to my wife one time. Similar things happened to me. He's like, I'm going to get you and cut your head off, because they'll try to, or the favorite one is women calling your wife. And saying, hi, is Alex there? No, he's not. Can I leave a message? They know a woman's going to ask, well, can I get a message? Who is this? Oh, never mind. I'll just tell him when I see him. What do you mean, when you see him? Who are you? Oh, well, okay, who's this? Well, I'm his wife. Well, what? That's impossible. We're engaged to be married. We're engaged to be married.